Tanse tatawao, ista nehio ota wawaskasusipi, which is the Cree name for the Red Deer River. It is named that because of the many elk that are here. We have come here for many generations because it is the easiest place to cross the Red Deer River. The water here is shallow, the riverbed is smooth and firm. People and animals can cross easily, and buffalo hunting is good. The Cree, Assiniboine, Tsuut'ina, Pegan, and Kainai. All these people travel here between the southern plains and the North Saskatchewan riverlands. Now people cross here when they travel between the new forts of the north and the south.
I work as a freighter. I come to this crossing often. I am Métis. Enfant Rouge, la colonie de Red River. We are the children of the fur trade, of the newcomers and local natives. Hey Kishchiji, the Michif, a proud people, trying to protect our way of life. I all goods between Fort Calgary and Fort Edmonton. In the spring floods, we have to wait here near McClellan's new stopping house until we can get across. I came west to hunt the buffalo and find work. Many Métis people like me left Manitoba over the loss of our homelands. Ottawa is silent as we lose our lands. Et c'est choquant.
We came west looking for land. Most of the good land was claimed already in Ontario. When we arrived, we lived and worked among the Métis and the Indians who were already here. The Gates family came from Ontario as well. They were among the first to settle. Their eldest son, Raymond, runs the little store here. It's a small general store with a post office where he trades with the Métis and the Indians and settlers like us. It's just downstream from the McClellan stopping house.
Did I like these fellows? Certainly I did, for I got to know them, know their families, their hopes and ambitions, and some of the trivial details of their lives. And to know them as I did in those days was to like them. And I would feel a bit lonely as I saw them go off in the half-light of those early mornings, and a bit sorry for them too, for I realized that I represented just the trickling of a great tide of white immigration that would ultimately swamp them and rob them of a heritage that their children could never enter into.
Many of my people are starving because hunting is difficult. The buffalo are all gone. They've been hunted for sport and profit. The remains are left to rot on the plains. The Queen Mother's representative in Ottawa does not seem to care about her Indian children. The promises that have been made in treaty are being broken.
Tensions are growing now with the local Indians, and we've heard of trouble and battles to the east. Caroline, Mrs. Gates, she had a group of Indians arrive at her door wearing war paint and demanding food. They didn't even leave their weapons at the door. They came in fully armed to eat. She fed them, sure enough, and they left. But she was some shook up. They were gone by the time her menfolk came home. A messenger arrived, warning us that there was trouble on the way, and that we better pack up and head for Fort Calgary. We didn't know when we would return.
We formed a Métis provisional government in Batoche to take our demands to Ottawa. A few months later, we heard they were sending troops, so some of us prepared for an armed standoff, and if necessary, battle. When we met the soldiers, the talks didn't go well, and they soon fired on us. The last of these battles, the Battle of Batoche, crushed our Métis resistance forces.
Most of us did not fight. We were weak from sickness and hunger. Our people were few because of the disease brought to us by the settlers. And we could see there was no use to fight. Chief Crowfoot of the Blackfoot Confederacy gave his word to Father Lacombe that he would not fight in the rebellion so that he could keep the peace.
Well, not a shot was fired anywhere near here. I'm happy that the rebellion didn't come to our doorstep, and glad to be home. And I feel safer now that the new fort is here. 20 soldiers, with Lieutenant Normandeau of the Mount Royal Rifles, turned McClellan's stopping house into a fort. They call it Fort Normandeau. He and his men stayed for about 2 months before they rejoined the regiment at Fort Edmonton.
With more settlers moving west, business is good. I've been hauling lots of supplies on the C&E, trail between Calgary and Edmonton. But we hear talk of building a railway from Calgary. If the railway comes up here, no need for us freighters anymore. The stopping house is gone, turned into Fort Normandeau. Now the Northwest Mounted Police are stationed there.
They're a young bunch of fellows, the Mounties at the fort. And it's good to have them looking out for mischief, putting out wildfires and the like, and bringing some law and order to the place.
I guess those Mounties came out looking for a little adventure. Maybe didn't find too much. Maybe made some of their own.
During the last month or two, most of the members of the Northwest Mounted Police here have been affected in a peculiar way, which some of the settlers attribute to whiskey. The doctor's aid has not been needed for recovery, and possibly a short interview with a superior officer may stop, for a time, a recurrence of the symptoms.
Most folks around here like the Mounties, but Caroline's husband, Leonard Gates, seems to be butting heads with them. I think he was hoping for some more contracts to supply Fort Normandeau, and I'm sure he was none too happy when the Mounties didn't buy his land for the new post either. Oh, and he and his lawyer wrote quite the letter to the department when some of the locals made up a scarecrow to look like him and burned it in the street. When that happened, the Mounties just stood by. They said nobody was breaking any laws. Well, he and Caroline sure did raise some good kids, though. Well, looks like we'll be moving soon. Everyone thought the new railroad would cross here by the fort, but Leonard Gates made a deal with the railroad officials and offered them half of his land in exchange for building the line through the middle of his property. It'll mean the end of the crossing, but the beginning of a new village, Red Deer. I can see it now. The shops, the churches, the schools.
But what kind of schools? Our way of life is disappearing with the buffalo. We must learn the new ways. Are residential schools the answer? They are taking our children so far away from us.
I like coming to this site by the fort. Sometimes I use a sweat lodge here. I think back to the people who came here, to the river crossing, the fort, the school, and what they hoped for, what they were trying to build. This place reminds me of my people, of my past.